Yeah, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Obsidian for TTRPGs. I still haven't totally, I think that's what it is, right? Obsidian for TTRPGs. Hey, I did it. I just checked. So in our last episode, we started talking about Dataview and accessing front matter data or properties, what they're called now, using it. And hopefully you found that useful. In this and probably, I don't know, it could easily go 3, 4, maybe even 5 more episodes. We're gonna jump into Dataview and really kind of understand a lot more of it. Now, it's not going to be a complete in-depth because there are parts that I don't really use, so I don't have a lot of info on them. But you can always, just Google Obsidian Dataview beginners or something like that, and it should come up with some stuff. So first thing you might notice is I've got some new things in our vault here. And these are just kind of examples of different things that we can actually have. In fact, some of these are from, I was playing World of Warcraft in the Exile's Reach, which is the beginner zone, and I thought, as I was doing it, this is a really good example of some things, and so I did that. And then these up here, Actors and Places, is actually from Abomination Vaults, the Pathfinder 2E adventure. But we're going to use those for different things. I'm thinking we might get 2 more of our plugins from our plugins list, and actually this Ardens actually has a dependency now. I think it's called folder notes or core, folder notes core or something like that. We'll see that in just a second. So we're going to jump in and do that first. Now, what I wanted to point out really quick, I don't think it's in places here, that here we have Galarian, which is the planet of Pathfinder. Then we have Kortos, which is the island that has the largest city. So if we click on Absalon here, we can see this is a placeholder, and if we go to Kortos here, you can see the Isle of Kortos. We have the information. One thing that's really nice is the folder notes plugin, and what that does is it makes it so instead of having to click Kortos here and then click Kortos here, or Absalon here and Absalon here, since they're the same name, it actually makes it so, hey, you're clicking this, there is a file called Kortos. I'm going to just display the information as if you were clicking this file within. And you'll notice that, if it wasn't highlighted, you can, I lost my train of thought. I don't know if you noticed when I was clicking it that it was already highlighted, but that's because I actually clicked it earlier. When you click on a folder, it doesn't actually highlight anything. It just leaves whatever the last one was. So let's go grab those 2 plugins real quick. So we'll go to community plugins. Let's go ahead and check for updates. I think, oh good, there are none. So let's go to browse, and we're going to type FOLDER for folder notes. And this is the one right here, aidenLx's folder notes. And then there's something about a core, folder note core right there. So you'll see they're both by aidenLx. So we're going to click on this one first and go and say install and say enable. And then actually it's not going to enable because we don't have the core yet. So install, and we'll enable that one. Then if we come back up here, we can actually say disable real quick and then enable, and it should actually work now. Alright, so if we come in here and go look at the info on it, it tells you what the different strategy is. So here is how you want the notes to be stored. So inside the folder with the same name. So what this is saying is this would create inside a folder with an index file. It would create an index file. This is inside the folder with the same name. So in our case, where our Kortos is Kortos, that's what it's actually showing us. That will kind of blend those. outside the folder name with the same name, which means you could actually have it go in the outside of that folder and then it has the same name. That's confusing to me. So I just leave pretty much everything as is. There is an option here that's kind of nice called hide folder note. So if the folder actually has a note with the same name as the folder itself, you'll see we no longer see that Cortos one. But if we click on the folder Cortos, it actually shows us that note. So we can still edit that. I don't know why that says city. So we can still edit the note and everything without any issues. It's just, you know, we could even link our Absalom if we wanted. I don't know if that's actually gonna say it linked. Yep, it did. Perfect. But it automatically doesn't delete, but it hides the actual file that's in there. Now, if we go look, let's see, is this our YouTube one? Yes. If we go look in places, I'm going to bring this window over. So if we come in here and look inside Cortos, it's still there. It's just hidden. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And that's one thing I really like to do is, you know, have that. Now, there was one option in here that I forgot to mention. It's right here. So if I click on a folder and I want the note to be there, if I hold Control when I click on the folder, it will automatically create a note. So for example, up here, actors doesn't actually have anything. If I hold Control and click on it, now we actually see we have an actors inside there. And if we go to something else and back up, so it's just creating, this is the title here, which is gonna still be actors, and then this part we can actually just get rid of because this is the note itself. So this, oh whoops, we have to be here. So we can go here and say this is the ACTOR actors note, like so. And now anytime we click on actors, we get the note instead of that. Now you also notice, like if I click on the little down arrow, it will expand and contract. However, if I click on actors, it doesn't do anything. It just shows me that note. So you can use this if you want. I really like it personally, because I don't like, you know, for example, with my places, I don't like to have a note called Galarian and then I have to, you know, I have the folder and then I have to go inside the folder to the note. It's just nice to have that all right there. All right, so that was a good 8 minutes description of that. So for what we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of create our own little kind of cheat sheet, I guess, for Dataview. So the first thing we're gonna do is actually create a Dataview folder. So I'm going to go into ZZ admin here. I'm going to right click on it and say new folder. And we're going to call it Dataview, D-A-T-A-V-I-E-W. And inside this, we're going to have a file that shows us basically the meat of what Dataview can do. Now, it's not 100% complete, but I think it's enough to get you by. So first thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to control click on Dataview so I get my, it creates my file in there, even though like I said you can't see it, it's there. And go into edit mode and I'm going to leave the name there just like that. Alright, so first thing we want to do is I'm going to grab some front matter data. I'm going to copy and paste so it doesn't take so long. So here you can see I have a custom field that I created called status and I've set it to in progress. Now it's always a good practice to actually put these in quotes even though it's not required. The name, you'll notice it's Dataview. I didn't have to actually do that, but this is just all front matter I have. And then we have the tags, which is what Obsidian actually does understand. So now that we got that basic information there, we're going to create some other notes. We're going to create 3 more in here. I'm just going to go 1, 2, and a 3. And these are going to have weird names and such, but it will all make sense later. So this first one is going to be A003, and it's going to have its own little front matter. In fact, I'm just going to copy and paste. I don't think I can. Can I do that? I don't know if this will try and link to my other vault. Doesn't look like it did. All right, so here you can see I have the status, and here it says in progress again. Name is Note03, so it doesn't have to be the same as that. Then we have tags, and I'm doing it in the list format, a bullet list. So it's the little dash and then space and then the name for the tag. And then I have my own little custom sort field here, and this one's B. Then, as we learned when we were doing all our markdown stuff, you can also create tags outside of the front matter or the properties. And we created one called Note03, not to be confused with Note3. And then we have a link back to our Dataview, which will work even though it's a folder, because that file is there, we just don't see it. And then a Z-Note1, which we don't have yet, but that is going to be the next one we create. So I'm going to go ahead and hit C. I'm going to go into this one, and we're going to go Z-Note01, and I'm going to paste a whole bunch of information in here as well. So this is just getting us ready. So here you can see also Z-Note01 has two tags, has Note 1 and has bullet list. Its my sort value is C, and everything else you can see we have links to Note 2, Dataview, and A003. So we don't have Note 2 yet, so let's get that taken care of. And actually I do this first, Control C, go to Untitled 1 and V, C and V. There we go. All right, so here is our setup, our basic setup, and we're also going to link into these guys with some of the stuff, but the majority of what we're going to be doing will just be with these three notes, A003, Note 02, and Z-Note 01. And the reason I have these numbers here is also to kind of help us with sorting and seeing the different sorts. So let's jump right in and begin with our Dataview stuff. Let me go over here real quick. And let's see. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this in header format. That way we can shrink and hide different pieces of the data. Because if not, we're just going to have this ginormous page. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with our header 2, and we're going to call this BAS, Basic Dataview Query. And there are 4 types, query types, that we can do. We're only going to actually do 2 of them because I couldn't really think of good ways to use the other 2, and they're the ones I use the most. So the first one is list, and technically actually I don't use that one that much. I use table a bunch, tabler, and the other 2 that we're not going to go over, but you can always, you know, do some independent research and go find out about how they work and function, is calendar. And the last one is task. And task could be kind of handy, but we're just not going to go over it. Alright, so from our list here, we're going to go ahead and do a full 6 so that we have a nice size change on our header. We're going to call list. Now the reason I'm doing this in uppercase is most of the syntax, if you know anything about SQL or database queries or something like that, this really is modeled similar to that. So list is going to simply list out all the information. Now the way you make a Dataview query is different, where we did the little this and equals and then whatever our thing was. With a Dataview query, we actually do 3 of these, the little back tick that's above the tab key, and then we type Dataview, like so. And then we can hit enter, and this is where we put our query. So the most basic thing we can actually do is do our list, and we want to, trying to think, I guess I could do, let's just do the file name, and this is actually going to list every single thing in our entire vault, which we don't have a ton, but we do have a decent amount. So we could do name, oops, actually let's do it this way. Let's say file dot name. I think that's the right way to say it. And let's run that and see if it works. There we go. So here you can see it's listing out all the things, and then it's actually giving us kind of the exact same thing, another basically name of it. If we had different values for these, we could actually do that. So for example, each of these had a status, at least these guys had a status. I believe we can close this and this. Oops. Close this, go back here. So if we said maybe status, status, you'll see that these ones don't actually have the status, so they mark a little dash, but these ones you can see is in progress, completed, and not started. Now you might already be getting some ideas going, oh, that's kind of interesting. So I can keep track of a status of things that are going and do that. And you can do a lot more than that. So the list is very basic. It will simply give you a bulleted list with whatever single parameter you want. Now I don't think it actually does multiple, because if you do a comma and try and add a second one, it seems to not love you for that. So if I said name after that, you'll see that we get this error saying, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. And I didn't try. I wonder if you could do it like an array. Like I want an array. I didn't think about this till now. Ooh, that actually worked, kind of. Oh, it actually did work, because we have our data view and then it has 2 elements in it. So we can actually do it like that. Really ugly, but we can do it like that. Don't know why you'd want to do it like that. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that with the little array, just so we can remember that. So what I'm going to do now is, you'll see we have this little down arrow. I'm going to go ahead and shrink list down, so it's no longer bugging us in our view. Then I'm going to hit enter twice. We're going to do 5 more, or 6 more, I guess. And we're going to do table. Now table is really nice. So I'm going to grab my data here, and we can kind of do that exact same thing that we did above. Hit C and hit V. So here you can see I'm actually getting a table, and I'm doing the file name. But with a table, we can actually also do an alias. So we're saying I want file name as file name, right? And so if I didn't have this part, in fact, let's just get rid of that and just show you. If we pull it up here, now you'll see our list one is compressed, which is really good for us. But here you can see we have the file, which is the actual name of the thing, and then we have the file name, which is exactly the same thing. But sometimes in a table that doesn't look very good, so we can actually use that as. Now we're going to change this just to the name, and we're going to say as maybe, let's say note name. So this will create kind of an alias for us. So now you can see we have note name. Now we only have the 3 that have, or the 4 that have that value in there, our notes and our actual data view file itself. Actually, that reminds me, I need to go add something to our data view real quick. just so when we get there, it's all ready to go. So I'm going to click on you real quick. Hold on. I'm going to create at the very bottom of our file just a couple links, but I'm going to put them in a heading called example data, because they're really not going to have anything to do with this stuff up above. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a bunch of carriage returns here, and I don't remember if I hit Control C. I forgot we had this. So all it is a simple link to Note 1, Z Note 1, and A Note 3. That's all it is. It's nothing really big. All right. So we can also do multiple fields. We could also say status as, and we could give it another value for its status. I don't know what to put. Progress, maybe? I don't know, just something different. And you'll see now we actually have note name and progress. So, and then of course we can mouse over these and it will give us the information inside those. We can click it and it will go into it, hit back, come back. If we hold Control and click it, it will open a new tab with that. Those are all things we've done before. So these are the two types we're going to go over. Calendar actually kind of creates a calendar, and task can create a to-do list type thing, but didn't seem extremely relevant to me. So now that we've got the basic down, let's go ahead and shrink that, and we'll go ahead and hit enter a bunch of times, because apparently these enters are inside of this guy. I don't know where they're at. Let's just do this. Let's hit delete there, shrink this, and put it there. I don't know if that's going to work or not. All right, so our next thing we're going to do is, it's really good that we can just get this list, but we can actually control, we can actually give it kind of a control or a clause as to what data we're pulling, because in this case, we're pulling every little thing. Oops, that was example data. We're pulling every little thing from our entire vault. That's a terrible right here. So you can see we have all the different files in all our folders. And that's not necessarily what we want. Maybe we only want the stuff, excuse me, the stuff from our Dataview folder itself. So we can actually use the from clause to achieve that. So let's go ahead here. I guess it's just going to keep shrinking that up. I'm going to hit enter once there then. And we're going to go ahead and do the from clause, FROM. And there's various formats we can do with these. I'm going to do CLAUSE. Is that how I spell it? Clause. We'll pretend it is. So the first thing, we can actually say, hey, I want to get all the tags. You know, I want anything with this certain tag. So here we have an example. While we're at 23. We might have to continue the from clauses after this because there's quite a few of them. So we're going to just do the tag one. I'll explain that, and then I'm going to do it back to back so that we can jump right into the next one, although you'll have to wait a week. So here you can see we're getting the name, the status, and tags field. So if you remember, we also have our tags field. We have them like this, where note 3, it's a bulleted list. We have note 2, which is just a comma separated list, and here we have note 1, which is also a bulleted list. And we also have these tags down here that's also important to note. The note 01, note 02, and note 03. And when we're actually telling it to grab tags, it can be either of those. So it could be like the note 1, which is inside the metadata, or it could be the note 02, which is part of the actual note. It's outside of the metadata. So here what we're saying is we want to get the name, we want the status, and we want the tags. Now, of course, we could go add all the ases in there if we wanted. I don't see a reason to. But if we run this, you'll see now we have note 01, and we can see its name is note 01, its status is completed, and it contains a bullet list. So this is how the bullet list will show up if that's how your tags are. Note 02 is also listed here. Actually, I think I lied. The tags... No, we're good. The tags, the thing to note here is that we're not getting the note 02. Even though note 2 has a note 2, the 02 is not actually showing up as the tags. I remember that's why I was doing that. So what it's going to display is only from the metadata or the properties or the front matter, whatever you want to call it. It's not actually listing this other tag down here. It's only going to show us the tag that's up inside our properties. But you'll notice that it can do it as a comment list, or it can do it as a bulleted list, and that's kind of what I wanted to really show here. It's actually seeing the tag as note 02, but it's not displaying it because this is not this is metadata that this stuff gets off of, and special stuff. So I think I'm going to end it here because you're probably thoroughly confused, and I want you to be able to play with what we've done so far, which isn't a lot, but you can experiment with our plugin that we did and play with that and look at its settings and stuff. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me, or click that little notification bell. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget to tell other people about my channel. Check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We grow the channel. Everybody wins. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.